There is now some consternation as to whether or not the Iranian national football/soccer team will appear in this year's World Cup. The answer is simple. No, they don't get in. Under any circumstance whatsoever, Iran should not be allowed in the World Cup. Period. End of story. Now, this also brings to mind a lot of the issues about politics and sports, because if you don't understand by now that politics and sports are married, they're together, you can't separate the two, then you don't really understand sport, because politics has been in sport for decades, for generations. So if somebody comes up and says, well, we have to let Iran into the World Cup because this is about sport, it's not about politics, nonsense. And I can prove it. When you look at the history of sport and politics, let's just take a couple of examples. Easy ones, okay? The 1936 Summer Olympic Games, where Adolf Hitler staged the games in order to make sure that everybody around the world knew that the Aryan race was better than everybody else. And of course, as everybody knows, Jesse Owens threw a huge monkey wrench into that and basically enraged Hitler. But he was using the Olympics for politics. John Carlos and Tommy Smith, the raised gloved fist at Mexico City, not long after, 1968, where they took their moment on the podium and made sure that people knew that there was trouble in America. Something was wrong. They basically sacrificed their careers. They were blackballed after that. They were sent home. Excellent athletes, but better people who made sure that we knew that something was wrong in America. Muhammad Ali, heavyweight champion of the world, on his way. Certainly one of the great figures in American sports history. What did Ali do? He basically said, I'm not going to go into the draft. I'm not going to join the military. I'm not going to go kill any Vietnamese. They didn't do anything to me, so why should I want to kill them? Turns out that Muhammad Ali was ahead of the game.
You know, Muhammad Ali is really important in this because when Ali refuses induction, there's a famous column in the New York Times written by Tom Wicker where he just wonders out loud what would happen if you had 100,000 Muhammad Alis. If you had 100,000 people who were prepared to do what Muhammad Ali just did, you would bring this war to a stop.
Because the Vietnam War cost America tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of American lives, money, but just stick to the lives that never should have been wasted by a war that we never should have fought. Politics and sport came together, and they came together beautifully. Let's go to Colin Kaepernick. Colin Kaepernick used his platform to make a statement, a political statement about the state of America. He didn't do it against veterans. That was all just nonsense. He wasn't saying anything about the American military. He wasn't saying anything to disrepute veterans. He wasn't slamming anybody. He took a knee because he wanted people to understand that there was racial disparity in America, and that's all it was about. But people hooked onto it. They took it as something evil. They destroyed this man when all he was doing was sacrificing his life to say something about America. Try to make it better. In case you don't know, that's patriotism, okay? It's in its form where you want the country to be better. And then let's move forward to the 2026 Winter Olympic Games and how politics was used horribly. Athletes there who basically said there's things going wrong in America right now. They didn't say they hated America. They didn't say they stood against America. They didn't say they wanted to leave America. They did what they believed was their patriotic duty, to point out that there was a problem in America. And they did it, and they were excoriated by the President of the United States, despite the fact that they represented their country, and they represented it proudly. How about the men's hockey team? Automatically used as politics. Players draping themselves in the American flag. They love their country, and they need to be applauded for it. There's nothing wrong with it. It's a good thing. They came out and said, I love America. Okay. But it was made political, is what it boiled down to people using the women's team, the men's team, the players who spoke out, the athletes who said something as political pawns. Understand that politics and sport go together. You don't have to like it. And there's a side of me, look, I've been covering sports my entire adult life. I don't like it when politics gets involved, but I understand when it does. And it's a reason, and it's a good thing. But let's get back to the World Cup. Iran does not belong in the World Cup. The Iranian government, for decades, has been the single greatest state sponsor of terrorism around the world. These people, this religious-driven cult, has killed thousands, tens of thousands, basically because of religion, but because of politics as well. And as I record this, more bombs are going off in the Middle East, launched by Iran. And I get it. Not every Iranian is in favor of what's going on. There is a great number of the Iranian people who want things to change. But they haven't changed it. They haven't stood out. They've tried, and they've been murdered for it by a government that says, if you don't believe as we do, if you don't follow our edicts, we will kill you. The Iranian team does not belong in the World Cup because of what it could bring about. Iran right now is an international pariah, and deservedly so. They've earned it. I feel sorry for the athletes. See, I don't know any of the Iranian athletes, and neither do you. There could be some on that team that are completely in favor of what Khamenei did, of what that government did, of what they're doing right now to fight against and kill Jews, anybody that doesn't believe as they believe. There are also likely people on that team as well who disagree with it completely and are sorry and sad that their government has taken that tack. But if you put the Iranian team in the World Cup, anything could happen. What would happen if the Iranian team went up against the Israeli team? What would happen if it went up against any team that their government has bombed, killed people? Can you imagine the problems, the issues, the security, the fights, the things that could happen? No. You can't risk that. You need to try and keep the games as the games themselves, the beauty of soccer, and try to keep it to a sporting event. In the same breath, an argument can be made that there are other countries who shouldn't be allowed in the World Cup. Russia's not allowed, and that's proper. The Russians have not earned the right to be part of this event. And again, I feel sorry for their athletes. But unfortunately, you have to bear the brunt of your nation and what your nation is doing right now, killing thousands of people in Ukraine, creating an instability in Europe that could lead us into World War III, if not for what's happening in Ukraine, but certainly what's happening in the Middle East. Vladimir Putin has taken Russia and made it a murderous nation. We can't have you in the World Cup. Can't have you in the Olympics. And there's going to be, careful now, there are going to be some people who will say that America, the United States, does not deserve to be in the World Cup, hosting the games, being in the Olympics themselves, because they see America as an aggressor nation. They see America as somebody who is helping to foster war and keep it going. The hate, the fear, the bombs, they're American-made. And there are people coming out and saying, America's just part of the problem, so they shouldn't be allowed. See, that's what happens when you ingest politics into sport. My suggestion, how about we use sport as something of a carrot and stick? You want to be part of the sport? You want to come to the Olympics? You want to be part of the World Cup? Then your nation has to earn it. Your nation has to be worthy of it. Your nation has to be one that is not out there causing untold pain, anguish, death on other people simply because they don't believe as you do, or they don't follow your line of politics, or you want to steal their country from them. You don't get to be part of it. Sport needs to be used as a unifying factor in the global community. It's what it should be. Now, politics is always going to get involved. We can't stop it. Look, if you look at the World Cup in and of itself, that's political from top to bottom, because FIFA is one of the most political, graft-ridden, evil organizations in the world today. Because if you want to host the World Cup, you'll do what they tell you to. You'll eat the cost of these stadiums. You'll put your people out of homes. You'll change lives. You'll destroy tax breaks for people. You'll basically take money that should be used to feed children and build a damn stadium. It's all politics. And the labor that is used to create these stadiums, many times in many countries, is slave labor, people who come in from other countries. That's part of the political bend of FIFA in the World Cup. But we come down to sport. I've been around every sport in my life. Every one. Every single one you can imagine. I have seen politics injected into the sport. I have seen politics ruin the sports. I have seen politics also make the sport better, as in many of those cases where I talk about people, athletes, who stand up, who say something, who don't fear the repercussions, but who come out and use their platform to say something positive, to create positive change. That's what sport is all about. It is about the positive change. It's not just about competition. Sport is used as the positive change in our lives. It pushes people to greater things. And sometimes politics has to get involved, and sometimes we have to fight against it. There's no real answer here that's going to keep everybody happy. Those who believe that politics belongs in sport. Those who believe it has no place in it. I've proven that politics has a place in sports, and it can be a positive thing when it's used for something positive. With regard to the World Cup, as much as I stand against FIFA and all the underhanded dealings that they've had, all the money they've stolen, all the power they've exerted, all the people that they've put out of their homes and building new stadiums in countries that are desperate to host the World Cup, and all of the nonsense that goes on. Hey, look here in America, we're faced with a World Cup right now, and people afraid to come here because of the political situation in America and because of the strife started by our current government. People are afraid to come here because they're afraid they're going to get arrested. People are afraid of coming out of their homes because even though they're citizens of the United States, even though they are legally here, they are afraid that if they buy a ticket, if they go to a game, if they go to a rally, if they go to a bar to watch the World Cup, because they weren't born here, they're going to be arrested and they're going to be immediately deported. Politics. That kind of politics has no right to be part of any sporting event. But our government has made it that way. They've scared the bejesus out of people who don't want to be separated from their families. Look, we're already a government that has taken children who were born in America and deported them and had to fight and claw their way back into this country. So let's understand. Sport is a consistent, can't remove it part of politics. Even when it comes to athletes, sometimes politically arguing that they deserve to be first instead of second, that somebody fixed the game, that somebody fixed the timer, that something went on. Hey, look at this. We can go back to the Olympics and we can look at the judging for ice skating, which is always nationalistic, always politics. We can try to bleed it out, but we have to understand it's here to stay. In this case, no Iran, no Russia. And maybe we need to use sport, as I mentioned, as a carrot and stick. You want to be part of the international community? You want to be part of these wonderful sporting events? You want to promote your country as something positive? Then stop killing people. Stop sending missiles to kill innocent children. Stop sending drones to destroy cities and civilians and hospitals. Prove to us that you belong in the international community. Prove to us that you know what it's like to be a part of a world that doesn't seek to kill, but seeks to compete fairly and with grace and hope.